Welcome to the History on Screen channel. Be sure to subscribe and like so you don't miss out on more videos like this one. In Uganda, a child showing signs of weakness holds a missionary's hand during a humanitarian emergency recorded in the 20th century. The image is linked to periods of shortage associated with political instability. The scene documents international aid, religious missions, and the social impacts faced by families in the country. Recorded in North Vietnam, a United States Air Force lieutenant is held in custody by a young North Vietnamese soldier in 1967. The episode occurred after an aircraft went down during the Vietnam War. The scene shows prisoners of war, armed conflict, and the presence of young people in the fighting. Alone amid the damage, a woman walks through Dresden, Germany in 1945. The city was heavily hit by air attacks near the end of World War II. The scene records urban devastation, impact on civilians, and residents remaining among destroyed structures after the conflict. In 1907, aboard a British ship, a sailor removes chains from a man who had been kept restrained for about 3 years. The episode took place on imperial sea routes. The scene records late slavery practices, naval intervention, and liberation actions in the early 20th century. Soon after World War II ended, a French woman has her head shaved by civilians as punishment for having relationships with German troops. The practice happened in many French cities during liberation. The scene records public retaliation, informal justice, and social tensions in the period after occupation. Right after receiving a life sentence, Nelson Mandela keeps his fists raised in June 1964 in South Africa. The trial took place in the Rivonia case during the racial segregation regime. The scene records political defiance, symbolic resistance, and the start of decades of imprisonment. On top of a building in Paris, Brigitte Bardot, then 18 years old, dances on a rooftop in 1952. The scene was recorded early in her artistic career. The moment reveals the post-war urban setting, Parisian youth, and the rise of a future figure of French cinema. On the roof of a Korean store in Los Angeles, guards take positions to protect the place during the 1992 civil unrest. The protests followed the verdict in the Rodney King case. The scene records community protection, a limited early response by authorities, and social and economic tensions in the city. Before the Normandy invasion, United States General Dwight D. Eisenhower briefs paratroopers at a base in England on June 6, 1944. The instructions came just before D-Day. The scene records military leadership, strategic preparation, and a decisive moment of World War II. Watching with curiosity, a girl on roller skates looks at an army patrol during the Battle of the Bogside in Derry, Northern Ireland, in 1969. The clash involved residents and security forces. The image records a military presence in a civilian area, childhood routine, and the start of a long period of tension. Made for civil defense, a child protective mask shaped like the character Mickey Mouse is shown being worn by children in the United States in 1942. The equipment was designed to reduce fear during World War II drills. The scene records preventive precautions and strategies to protect civilians. Carrying few belongings, a Vietnamese family heads toward Saigon in June 1972 during the Vietnam War. The displacement followed offensives in the south of the country. The scene records civilian displacement, the conflict's impact, and improvised routes used by families on the move. At a combat position in Europe, United States soldiers drink soda during World War II in the mid-1940s. More than 5 billion bottles were distributed to the troops. The scene shows supply logistics, breaks on the front line, and everyday habits among service members. During the Korean War, Marine Sergeant Frank Prater is seen feeding an orphaned kitten. The record was made in a military area in the early 1950s. The scene shows soldiers' daily life, animals in war zones, and simple moments amid armed conflict. On the eve of the Battle of Kursk, Soviet soldiers prepare for the fight in July 1943 in the Western Soviet Union. The clash became the largest tank battle in history. The scene records military organization, defensive weapons, and the strategic context of World War II. A few days after the border was closed, workers begin preparations for the Berlin Wall on August 14, 1961, in East Germany. Temporary barriers gave way to permanent structures. The scene records the start of the city's division and political control. Outside a butcher shop, residents line up to buy horse meat in North Cheam on April 17, 1942. Food shortages pushed people toward alternative meat during World War II. The scene records rationing, war-driven habits, and civilian routine under restrictions. During the Great Depression, single unemployed women marched to demand work in 1933 in the United States. The protests took place in cities hit by the crisis. The scene records civic mobilization, demands for jobs, and public policy in the face of mass unemployment. Signs and banners accompany the march. After running aground on the rocks of Lynn Canal in Alaska, the steamship Princess May sits tilted in August 1910. Passengers, crew, and cargo were evacuated safely. The scene records coastal navigation, maritime challenges in icy waters, and rescue efforts in the early 20th century. Recorded in the Belgian Congo, Italian traveler Attilio Gatti poses in 1930 with two hired local guides and a gorilla they captured. The scene took place during specimen collecting expeditions. The record shows colonial practices, wildlife exploitation, and field methods of the period. During World War II, British military equipment was disguised as elephants in India to fool enemy aerial reconnaissance. Vehicles and gear received fake structures and matching paint. The scene shows deception tactics, use of the local setting, and defensive strategies used in the Asian theater. During the Apollo 11 mission, astronaut Buzz Aldrin becomes the second human to step onto the moon in 1969, shortly after Neil Armstrong. The moment was recorded on the lunar surface. The scene documents space exploration, the space race, and a 20th century scientific milestone. Hanging from cables on the Empire State Building. Window washers work at great height in New York in the 1930s. The skyscraper had opened only a few years earlier. The scene shows manual techniques, a lack of modern safety equipment, and the maintenance routine on record-setting buildings. Wearing a decorated military uniform, Sergeant Stubby the dog is photographed around 1920 after serving in World War I. He worked with United States troops in France, helping with warnings and rescues. The scene records official recognition, military mascots, and the post-war period. Walking through the streets of Midtown Manhattan, Miss Beth Pitt takes her fawn named Star Message for a walk on November 16, 1942, in New York. The animal was treated as a household pet. The scene records unusual city customs, living with exotic animals, and civilian life during World War II. On a Los Angeles street in the 1960s, a girl walks with a small alligator on a leash. Some residents kept exotic animals as pets. The scene records unusual city customs, a lack of strict regulation, and the city's peculiar everyday life at the time. Using the device known as a beauty calibrator, Max Factor precisely measures the shape of a young woman's head and face in 1932 in the United States. The instrument aimed to standardize facial proportions for makeup and film. The scene records beauty practices, technology applied to appearance, and methods of the movie industry. In 1932, actor Johnny Eck poses for a promotional photo for the film Freaks, produced in the United States. Born with a rare physical condition affecting the lower part of his body, he appeared in studio scenes shared with the public. The image records movie promotion, the cast of the era's productions, and publicity practices of the time. Dressed as a clown, Lon Chaney appears in 1928 during the silent film era in the United States. Known for elaborate makeup, he created memorable characters without modern effects. The scene records costume, physical acting, and character makeup methods used in the film industry of the time. At a farewell ceremony in Brazil, 12-year-old Diego Frazão Torquato plays the violin in tribute to his teacher. The educator had encouraged studying music as a path for learning and opportunity for young people in a difficult social setting. The scene records social education, the impact of arts teaching, and bonds built through cultural projects. An aerial view shows the Manhattan skyline covered in snow during the winter of 1941 in New York. Skyscrapers, streets, and bridges sit under a white layer brought by strong cold fronts. The record shows the city in wartime, harsh weather, and urban density in the early 1940s. In front of Federal Hall on Wall Street, Charlie Chaplin poses for the camera in 1918 in New York. The building was a symbol of the financial system and American political history. The scene records a public appearance by an artist, the era's city setting, and the link between popular culture and the city. Sitting on a New York sidewalk, people rest among confetti and paper after celebrations marking the end of World War II on August 14, 1945. The announcement of Japan's surrender ended the conflict. The scene records a shared celebration and the city atmosphere of Victory Day. Used as a pack animal, an elephant helps move supplies to a United States military aircraft in 1945 in Southeast Asia. The animal was used where vehicles had limited access. The scene records logistics in difficult terrain, local cooperation, and alternative resupply methods at the end of the war. To avoid hard hits during falls on ice, a Dutch boy skates with a pillow tied to his back in 1933 in the Netherlands. The homemade adaptation was used while learning to skate. The scene records improvised solutions, winter recreation, and informal child safety measures. In a schoolyard, children practiced swimming movements out of the water in 1922 as part of physical classes. The activity was used in places without pools or regular access to water. The scene records improvised teaching methods, body training, and infrastructure limits in early 20th century city schools. Driving through the streets in 1912, a Kodak advertising truck promotes photographic equipment in American cities. The campaign brought cameras and brand messages directly to the public. The record shows mobile advertising, the growth of amateur photography, and the use of vehicles as media in the early 20th century. Gathered in Ocean Park, California, people dressed as mice take part in one of the early Mickey Mouse Club meetings around 1930. The group was part of promotional activities tied to animation. The scene records early marketing strategies, children's entertainment, and the cultural expansion of the Disney studios. Created by an American inventor, a portable radio built into a straw hat is demonstrated in 1931 in the United States. The device included an antenna, earphones, and an integrated receiver. The scene records technological experimentation, early miniaturization, and popular interest in wireless communication in the early 20th century. In a portrait made in Weihai Wei, a sword swallower poses for the camera in 1922. The act was part of traveling shows popular along China's coast. The record shows traditional entertainment skills, stage costume, local audiences, and performers moving through port cities in the early 20th century. In the trenches of France during World War I, a soldier known as the Human Serpent performs a show to distract his comrades in 1915. The moment took place between combat periods. The scene records improvised entertainment, military life, and attempts to ease the frontline routine. Sitting on a plain bench, two children wear face masks in a photograph taken in the United States in the 1930s. The masks were used for play, parties, or amateur performances. The scene records childhood customs, everyday objects, and home entertainment in the years between wars. In rural Mary in Pocahontas County, West Virginia, the Sunset Schoolhouse is recorded in October 1921. The building served children from scattered communities. The scene shows rural education, simple infrastructure, a seasonal school calendar, and everyday life in small-town America.